In today's show, the Blazers snap an 8-game losing streak by beating the snot out of the Utah Jazz. Plus, Scoot Henderson back in the lineup. It's a good day for the fighting pinwheels. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. It's coming at you every single weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it your first listen. Make it a part of your daily routine and tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're talking a beat down, a good old-fashioned walloping. The Blazers out of the loss column after 8 straight losses, and they wire-to-wire beat down the Jazz. Feels good to be on the other side. After losing by 40 on Sunday, the Blazers get right against Utah. Talk about that game, do our fastest recap in the West. Blazers got really nice performances from their wing players, but the big news, Scoot Henderson back in the lineup. Blazers rookie and 3rd overall pick in the 2023 draft makes his return and wears goggles. We'll talk about that one. And the Blazers did all of this without DeAndre Ayton in the lineup. Now they get some time off before a road trip. Thanksgiving off. Friday off so they can get in all their shopping deals. Saturday off so they can watch college football. Then they head out on the road. I guess they're going to travel on Saturday. Probably not as much college football watching maybe as some of us out there. But yeah, nice little streak snapper and a nice little extended break before they head out on the road. That's what we'll do in today's show. Let's get into it. Let's do what we do. Fastest recap in the West. Blazers win 121-105. They never trailed wire to wire. They're up 32-21 after one. With 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in the first quarter, Toumani Camara gets the ball in the paint, pump fakes, patiently gets back to his right hand on a jump hook, flips in a little soft jumper, as Lamar Hurd is telling us on the broadcast, that Toumani's actually got more to his game that he hasn't shown us yet. And honestly, if he's shooting patient jump hooks in the paint, we certainly haven't seen that yet, Lamar, and I'd love to see more of it. He flips it in. Lamar's enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. And the Blazers are up 22-12. The Jazz were never back within single digits. That's 8 minutes into the game, the 3-minute and 45-second mark. The Blazers led by double digits for 40 straight minutes in this one. The Jazz were never in it. Blazers led 65-46 at halftime. Utah committed 16 turnovers that led to 19 points in the first half for the Blazers. This is part Utah plays without a point guard. Keontae George might end up being a good point guard in the league. He's certainly not that now. Colin Sexton's not a point guard. Taylor Horton-Tucker's not a point guard. They're missing the person to get those ducks in a row, get those puppies in order. It is. I think part of it is good Blazer defense. Part of it is bad Jazz guard play. And 16 turnovers. Yikes. And the Blazers never looked back. Up 89-73 after 3. Jazz never got closer than 15 in the fourth quarter. And Portland cruises 121-105. Blazers led by as many as 32 points. That's your fastest recap in the West. They win 121-105. Here's a stat for you I read yesterday. Andy Larson in the Salt Lake Tribune. The Jazz had never, since trading Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert last summer, they had never lost a game by 30. They got stomped last night and lost by 30 to the Lakers. They fly into Portland, both teams on the second night of a back-to-back. The Blazers didn't play like the Jazz did, and the Jazz were down 32 to Portland. Utah owns the worst defense of the league. Blazers own the worst offense in the league. You know who won that one? The worst offense in the league. But the Jazz, needing rhythm, played their dudes at the end of the game. They finished the game on the court with their starters, John Collins and Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk, who got the start, on the court in an extended garbage time run. Blazers played about 6 minutes with deep bench in there, Ryan Rupert and Skylar Mays, and the Jazz are playing their starters. They would have lost back-to-back games by 30. There's trouble a-brewing for the Utah Jazz, who are now 4-11, the same record as your Portland Trailblazers. Yikes. Let's hit the box score. Jeremy Grant, 30 points on 10 of 13 shooting. Hit another 5 threes, back-to-back game with 5 threes. 6 rebounds. Excuse me. I might be giving him a little bit too much credit. I'm misreading the box score. 2 rebounds and 4 assists. Jeremy Grant's 30-6. Who are you kidding, Michael? But he was really good on offense. He paced the Blazers. Malcolm Brogdon gets the start. He had 20 points. Blazers played this game without DeAndre Ayton, a late scratch with back spasm. So Duop Reith got the start. And Wap finished with 8 points and 4 boards. You get 30 from Jeremy Grant, 20 from Malcolm Brogdon. Tamati Kamara, a really nice game with 12. Shaedon Sharpe, 14, but a lot of that came late. I thought he was, I'm glad he played at the end of the game because he needs to find a little bit of offensive rhythm. 13 for Matisse Thybulle off the bench, 19 and 10 boards for Jabari Walker. That double-double, if you crave the parallel double-digit numbers. The symmetry is just so appealing. Scoot Henderson in his return, 3 points, 7 assists, 1 of 7 from the floor, 3 turnovers, more on him later. Chris Murray had 2 to round out the Blazers scoring. Larry Markkinen, 24 to lead the Jazz. Kelly Olynyk, 13 points, 9 boards, 5 assists. Keontae George, 16 points, 7 dimes for the rookie Ochai Agbaji, who was not in the starting lineup after starting last night, finished with 9 off the bench. Simone Fontecchio, 8. Jordan Clarkson had 13 points, 5 assists and 7 turnovers. Jordan Clarkson played a bad enough game that he might have been a double agent. Like he was the Blazers' 5th best player. He was so bad. He was so bad. Kept driving into nowhere in the paint, turned the ball over a cajillion times. He's never been a good defender, and that was not a thing he did tonight either. A tough one for JC, who I like. I really enjoy the musical stylings of Jordan Clarkson, but he was outrageously bad. Like I said, I think this was a perfect storm. The Blazers don't get cheated. That's what I like about this team. Other than the game against OKC, where they just got flat out embarrassed, they really don't get run out of the gym. Like, they get beat, they lose a lot, they're going to lose a ton of games all year long. Mostly they stay within 12 without the firepower on offense to come back from a 12-point deficit, but they stay, vaguely in games. So they're not going to get cheated because they're competitive and they compete on defense. Defense has slipped a little bit thanks in large part to giving up 5,000 points to the Thunder, like just statistically, but like they're competitive on defense. If you watch them, they compete on defense. The problem is they can't shoot. They shot well in this game. That always helps. The Blazers finished 17 of 39 from 3. That's 44% from 3. I'm willing to wager the Blazers make 17 threes. They'll win every game this year. Or darn close to it, unless they take like 60. But the Blazers aren't going to get cheated, right? They're not going to get, when they show up at the gym, they're going to play hard enough to keep themselves in the game. So you knew against the Jazz when they played well early, they're going to keep themselves in the game. The Jazz, without the sort of guard play they need, they just don't have it. It's not anywhere on the roster right now. They can't get themselves into the spaces they want to go. Larry Markkinen needs someone to set him up. They're really missing that. And they turned the ball over a bunch because the Blazers played really aggressive and active defense. You mix active and aggressive defense, an uncharacteristically hot night from 3. The Blazers made 8 threes in the first half, which is, they've had a couple games this year where they've made 8 in all game long. 4 games this year where they made 10 or fewer. So 8.5 is like a bunch for this team. So it's like, the Blazers are going to be competitive. The Jazz were not playing well, and the Blazers shoot well. It was a perfect storm. It's a perfect storm. I thought the Blazers were really active on defense, and it started with Kamara and then Jabari Walker and really Matisse Thybulle, who was great off the bench, helped set the tone. They do all this without DeAndre Ayton, and they do all this with Scoot Henderson back in the lineup. Let's talk Scoot. Let's talk the 3 wings who I think helped really set the tone for a night where Jeremy Grant was just freaking great on offense, and the defense helped deliver on that one, and they got really nice play from their young wings. Let's talk about all of that in the second segment, including a little Scoot talk. Join me in that second segment, won't ya? Still a pass first point guard. Absolutely. I usually do that to close the show. All right. But I am still a pass first point guard, and you're still listening to Locked On Blazers. I'm still Mike Richmond, too. Listen, this game was won because the Blazers played just outplayed the Jazz from the word go. From the word go. Without their starting center, who's been one of their best players all year long. I think DA has kind of struggled a little bit up and down, but he's been solid for a team that has been up and down. Didn't miss a beat. And they didn't miss a beat because they were able to go small with the second lineup, and Utah wasn't able to punish them. In fact, the Blazers thrived off the bench. They thrived. Matisse Thybulle a plus 24, a Jabari Walker plus 11, Scoot Henderson plus 15. They got outscored with the guys who played at the end of the game. The Jazz outscored the Blazers by 14 in the final 6 minutes. So that's going to screw up the plus minus. But a dominant showing by the Blazers bench, and Toumani Camara, who played a bunch of minutes with that second group, he was really solid. Toumani made threes in this one. He hit 2. Jabari Walker made threes in this one, 2 of 3. Matisse Thybulle made threes in this one, 3 of 6. If those dudes are going to combine to hit 7 3-pointers, the Blazers are going to be hard to deal with because, like I said, they're competitive. They're competitive on defense. The problem is they just can't score, so they haven't been able to they haven't been able to charge back in games and be dangerous. They've just been just good enough to not get run out the gym. That's kind of been their thing over the last couple of weeks. It's yeah, good enough to stick around. They play hard, enjoyable group, but not quite talented enough. But you get Malcolm Brogdon back. Thought he was, again, solid in this game. Helps you organize stuff. You get Scoot Henderson back. He wore goggles. More on that in a moment. But Toumani Camara gets after it on defense. If he's going to make threes, a game changer. He got after it on defense. Guards Lauri Markkanen, picks up full court, really aggressive, had a great block early in the game that Lamar Hurd's getting a lot of shout outs. I enjoyed the broadcast tonight. That Lamar was really excited about. Jabari Walker's been really good on defense this year. I think he's made really impressive strides on defense, and he comes in and he competes his butt off, and he's physical and has active hands, and just is a presence in terms of effort and second effort and being in the right spot on defense. And he's kind of growing into his frame too. So the effort is backed up with the physicality and the size to be impactful. And Matisse Thybulle is just a wizard. He is not a normal defensive player. But he's a wizard. He kind of coaxes you into making passes you don't want to make, and he kind of reads, okay, you want to go backdoor, so I'm going to pretend like you can make that back cut, and then I'm going to jump in that passing lane, and then you're going to get panicked, and I'm going to get a steal, or I'm just going to fade behind this pass because I know I can get a hands on it. He has such good hands and such. He's unique in his approach. He's talked about it in the past that he kind of, his style of defense is almost baiting players into taking difficult shots. It's not locking you up and saying you're not going to score. He has this way of sort of coaxing mistakes out of people, and he was so freaking good tonight. So those guys make threes, right? Matisse 3 of 6, Jabari 2 of 3, Toumani 2 of 3. That'll do, right? But then Matisse Thybulle with the defensive playmaking, 3 steals and 2 blocks. Jabari Walker, 2 steals. Toumani Camara, the one block I mentioned. Blazers blocked, they block 6 shots. They get 9 steals. They forced 24 turnovers for the Jazz. 16 in the first half, another 5 in the third quarter ball game. The Utah just could never get organized. It was the activity of those guys. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is the vision realized and Joe Cronin is a genius and all of these things. I guess actually, if you're a Miami Heat fan listening, let me barrel down the camera if you're watching on YouTube. Joe Cronin is a genius. He nailed it. But really what I think is the vision that they're building to, and who knows if these guys are involved when this team is good again, but what they've prioritized as they've rebuilt this thing. And again, the Blazers have mostly been bad this year, but is size and length and activity, defensive activity on the wings. And Camara and Matisse Thybulle and Jabari Walker check those boxes. Matisse has been shooting well all year. He dipped below 40%, but he's shooting above 38% and made threes against tonight. Toumani has not shot well, and Jabari has not shot well. But if those guys are offensive players to go with the defensive activity they're going to bring, it's a game changer. And they were really good tonight, and you can see the vision. This is what they want to be. Can they be it consistently? I don't know. That's the difference, right? That's the difference in good and bad players, the difference in a bench player and a starter, and starters and stars. It's just can you be at your best all the time? Or is this a function of the Jazz, who I thought I thought the Jazz contained the ball about as poorly as you'll see a team contain the ball. I think that's the real issue. It's not like that they were deeply disorganized. A couple times in transition, they're just not guarding anyone, but like just containing the ball. Keep the ball in front of you so you don't have to help and you don't get in rotations. The Jazz did that terribly. They just don't control the ball. So you can beat someone off the dribble, get into the paint, or get towards the baseline. Help has to come. Ball swing. And the Blazers made shots tonight. I thought they were really unselfish. I thought the ball movement was really good. And they just, they hung 65 on them in the first half. They were great. They would have hung another 65 if they had played their dudes down the final 6 minutes. They were rolling. This was a really good game for them. Game was headlined though by the return of Scoot Henderson. The reason why he's buried at the 16-minute mark is because he didn't play that well. I would say that he looks a little rusty after an extended time away, but this is just kind of how he's looked to begin his NBA career. It's still not 100% clear how he's going to score in the NBA. The jump shot's not there. And his ability to get all the way into the paint, he missed. This is great. The really wonderful scoop moment early in the game. He gets to the rim against Omer Yurtseven, and he misses a layup. Right-hand side, just missed a layup. Good move, just kind of seemed to come out maybe off the heel of his hand, came out a little weird, and just didn't fall. And then he went back to it again on a switch, beats Yurtseven to the rim. Scoot came off the bench. I don't think I mentioned that, but Scoot came off the bench and played 16 minutes. So he's on a minutes restriction, and then they didn't play him at the end of the game because they didn't need to. But he played at 16:40 in his first game back. And Chauncey Billups told reporters before the game he was going to be on a minutes restriction. So he's obviously going to play like a little bit as he ramps up, and you don't expect him to come out firing or whatever, but he comes out, misses a layup, comes back, gets back to it on a switch, beats Yurtseven again, gets to his right side. This time he makes the layup. It rolls in, and he does the too small thing where he holds his hand down at his ankles and says, "You're too small." Scoot Henderson did not make another shot. Incredible moment. Yeah, I love it. Scoot's wearing goggles. Apparently, according to the broadcast, Brooke Olzendam reported on the Blazers broadcast that Scoot Henderson had recently got contacts. He's a new contact wearer, and I'm not a contact person, brag, but apparently it's the tendency for a new contact wearer is to touch your eyes a lot, mess with your contacts. They feel weird. You want to put your hands in your eyes, and you just can't do that when you're playing basketball. You're gonna mess things up. So he wore goggles to kind of keep his fingers out of his eyeballs, keep himself from messing with them. Fun look. Scoot with goggles, a fun look. I'm extremely into it. It's not 100% clear to me how he's going to score in the league. Eventually, the pull-up shooting is going to be the limiting factor for him. Can he shoot off the dribble? But that's several steps down the line. Step number one is, how can Scoot score, period? How can he score, period? Because if he can't, it's he can't shoot, can't shoot off the dribble. Was the thing kind of held young De'Aaron Fox back. And it's the thing that people talk about with Ja Morant a little bit. But those dudes are going to get MVP votes. Ja Morant already has, De'Aaron Fox can get MVP votes this year. He's been freaking great. That's a whole nother world, right? We're talking about how can Scoot have a game? And I think that's kind of what I'm waiting for with him. He had 7 assists in this game. A couple of them are literally get caught with your dribble and pass it to someone, they hit a 3. That works, baby. That's an assist. But assists are a great judge of playmaking always. They're a great judge. They're a better judge of shot making often. But I think Scoot got into the paint a little bit later in the game. He got himself, got downhill. I'd like to see him play with DeAndre Ayton in a more traditional pick and roll partner. He's playing with all smalls, and they're spreading the court for him. I like sometimes just not bringing a screen for Scoot, just saying, hey, use your athleticism to get past guys. But he, a couple times he gets guys, caught him. He didn't get past him with his first step, and he tried step overs and stuff like that and got caught up. He's young and he's learning. I think it is easy to say that Scoot Henderson hasn't been very good without saying Scoot Henderson will never be good. To me, that's simple. To others, maybe not. But to me, he just hasn't been good yet. You can see the outlines of someone who is figuring out how to make plays in the league. And maybe that's what he is. He is first, is like an elite playmaker. Again, he had 7 assists in less than 17 minutes. Like, he gets the ball to his teammates, and he wants to, and he's a willing passer. But I am curious about how he scores, and that will be something I follow closely. If nothing else, I am so thankful that Scoot Henderson is back in the lineup, because it's just so much more intriguing. I would rather watch the rookie number 3 overall pick struggle than watch Skylar Mays be competent. Skylar Mays is more effective at playing NBA basketball than Scoot right now, but for me, the intrigue is the future and the hope, not like Skylar Mays turning into like high-level competency, baby, doing what you do. I appreciate people who do what you do, but for me, the intrigue of this team is, what can they be? And Scoot is the poster of what can they be. I'm so thankful that I get to watch him play basketball again and figure it out. How does he score? What does he do? How do they use him? Like, fascinating for me. I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to watch that unfold. Speaking of thankful, it's thankful season. I want to give a little bit of thanks to close the show. This is not incredibly cliche where I tell you which Blazers player is green bean casserole, but the answer to that question is obviously Jeremy Grant. Join me in the the final segment, close the show. I'll give a little bit of thanks on this day of thanks here in the United States. Still a pass first point guard. Still Mike Richmond. Still listening to Locked On Blazers. I have hosted the show for many years, and I have, I've done all number of corny things. As one listener once said, "You, sir, are on the cob," and indeed I am. I'm not afraid of corny. I love it. I embrace it. I have done this in the past, though, where, you know, Damian Lillard is the turkey. He's the main dish. He's the blah, blah, blah. Then go on, like, you know, CJ McCollum is stuffing. Part of me is compelled to do that again. There is certainly a part of me that wants to be corny. But I'll go the other route with my corniness. The most important thing the Blazers can do in every year is provide you entertainment. They can do other things, and they can be an important part of your fabric, and they can win championships and all those things. But like, the thing that they do, largely, broadly, and sort of agnostic of the results, is provide you entertainment. Aaron Mesh, who's the editor of Willamette Week here in town, once described the Blazers as their sort of role in this, and their job in this is to provide enough entertainment until the weather gets good. This team stinks. The worst offense in the league. There are nights when it's just like, oh, they're down 16. They literally can't come back. And I mean that they stink in like a truly loving way. Because I'm going to watch all 82 of these things. Many of the games, I will watch the fourth quarter again, an important stretch. I do not want you to feel sorry for me. I am here by choice. I love this stuff. But Mesh is right. The Blazers' job is to take us from now, when it is dark at 4:30 in Portland, to the spring, when it is still cold, still wet, but less so, and it's brighter later into the evening. And the weather can get good. We get those false May days where it's like 85 degrees and incredible, and you think it's going to be summer, and then we have June. Y'all remember June. There's a world in where it rains during the Blazers championship parade. I look forward to it. I am thankful, though, that this Blazer team is, while they aren't good, and I have low expectations for them, I appreciate them because they bring it, and they are doing the thing they're supposed to do. They are, if you can bring yourself to it, enjoyable enough each and every night to get you to the spring. And I'm thankful for that, because when you ask for more, when your expectations get too high, they are always, or often at least, disappointing. I set my expectations insanely low. In some ways, so the Blazers could easily clear them. But in other ways, because that's kind of who I am. I'm a pessimist, right? But I find myself thankful for a team that's competitive, a team that is, back getting closer to healthy, so they're full, so I can watch Scoot Henderson and I can watch Shaden Sharp, and hopefully DeAndre Ayton's back from the back spasms soon, so you can watch something that looks like what's the next version of the Blazers, and think about a future spring when they're competitive and playing games that matter. I'm thankful for that opportunity. And I'm also thankful for you, dear listener. This show comes out on Thanksgiving in America. If you're listening somewhere else, okay, I'm laughing because on the broadcast they mentioned this Australian fan who's in the building who traveled during the holidays. I don't think Thanksgiving is an Australian holiday, but nonetheless, in the building, glad you're there. But this show's coming out on Thanksgiving, November 23rd, for my non-American listeners. If you're listening to this show about this team on Thanksgiving, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really mean it. I do this every day. I come down to my basement. I spend about an hour down here, maybe sometimes more when it's harder to do so. And I make a podcast, and I am proud of the work I do, and I only am able to do it, quite literally, because I'm not a volunteer. I need y'all. I'm only able to do it because you're listening. So if you are one of the absolute lunatics listening to this on Thanksgiving, taking a break from family, or if you're not around family, just having a walk and listen to my goofy butt talk about the Trailblazers, laugh about international holidays and Scoot Henderson's fun goggles. Thanks. Sincerely, thank you. Thanks. We're going to keep doing it. I'm not going anywhere. I am just, we usually take, whatever, these moments to be thankful for what we have. I'm thankful for you because that's what I got. And I appreciate you, and don't go anywhere, please. Or at least if you got to go somewhere because the team stinks and they're struggling and all that, come back, because I'll still be here doing this in the basement with the microphone, making jokes, laughing at my own jokes, doing what I do. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Here's what I'm going to do. Another one tomorrow, Friday, heading into the weekend. Blazers on Sunday play Damian Lillard for the first time post-trade. We will talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about what we've sort of seen from the Blazers this week. A look back, a look ahead, some statistical trends. It'll be fun. 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, and also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. If you're listening to this on Thanksgiving and you send it to a friend and they listen to it on Thanksgiving, I'll buy you a beverage of your choice. Just send me proof. Send me proof, a beverage of your choice. I'll send it to your house one way or another if you're not in town. I appreciate you listening. I really do. Come back. We'll do it again soon. Talk to you then.